when you gather to pray, it's really useful as you lead a prayer meeting to keep on topic, to allow space as well for other people to contribute and for God to speak, allow times of silence. So in terms of keeping on topic, we should consider a time of corporate prayer almost like a group conversation. We move together in the same topics. The discussion flows naturally. It's not sort of awkward and long silences. And we're in the presence of God. So when we pray together, let's take time to discuss these things with God before we move on. Times of prayer need to be fresh and alive and conversational. And there needs to be participation by all in the conversation. Try to keep the theme moving in a similar direction. So try to avoid bouncing from this to that. In the same way as in a conversation, if you're talking about the weather, you don't suddenly jump over and start talking about lunch or something totally unrelated, or the politics of some distant country. When we allow prayer to flow like a conversation, it really just enhances the times. I'd encourage you just to keep on topic if you're leading a prayer meeting, until you sense it's time that we need to move on to something else, and then tenderly and gently just move that on. Allow space, brief space, for people to jump in, times of silence, and this allows people who maybe are not as quick to speak, or maybe don't see themselves as leaders and wouldn't naturally just speak up in a prayer meeting, and often other people get in before them. So if you just encourage people just to leave little small gaps so that people can pray out and be part of it, and if you feel that someone really wants to pray, just give them a gentle nudge. Don't embarrass them, but just invite them to pray for something or to be part of that, and this grows people's confidence. In terms of silence in a prayer meeting, silence must be comfortable, to be able to listen to God's voice. It mustn't be sort of an awkward silence where everyone's staring at each other and wondering what's happening next, what are we doing, how long is this going to go for. If there's going to be silence in a prayer meeting, mention it. Say, we're going to have just a time of silence, just to seek God's face, to hear from Him. Often silence in prayer meetings can kill prayer meetings. People won't come back. So if your prayer meeting is just long silences with one or two people praying, very methodical prayers, it just kills it. So silence can be the death of your prayer meeting. So when I say silence, it must be a comfortable, managed silence where you as the leader have orchestrated it and welcomed it, and people sense there's a need for just to hear from God. And often silence without the murmur of voices can be really helpful. You can also use near silence, maybe worship music, just gentle worship music in the background. Music that's low enough so that people can pray out if they want to, or you can gather people back together. It's not loud worship music. So, as I said before, I just want to emphasize, while silence can be really powerful, we mustn't make it prolonged or uncomfortable, because this is often the cause of prayer meetings faltering, especially in the West, in the Western context.